In this video, we're going to be looking at how to multiply binomials using the FOIL method. So when we talk about FOIL, we're talking about the words. So F, O, I, and L. And F stands for first, O stands for outer, I is for inner, and L is for last. So we're going to use this method to do it. And the first thing we want to do is we're going to take this 3x, which is the first. So we're dealing with the F. And I'm going to write it right underneath it. And we're going to multiply it to the first and the second binomial. So therefore we have 3x times x. And when we multiply this out, it's going to give us 3x squared. Because we have x to the power of 1 multiplied to x to the power of 1. So if you add those two powers together, 1 and 1, it gives us a power of 2 for the x. And 3 is being multiplied to that invisible 1 that's in front of this second term. Now we're going to go ahead and multiply 3x times 5. So we call that the outer. So I'm going to write an O right here. So the outer term, the first term, gets multiplied to the outer term. So now we have 3x times 5. And so 3 times 5 is 15. So this becomes positive 15x. And now we're going to go ahead and multiply the inner terms, the I. So I'm going to write I right here. And I'm going to take this inner term, which is negative 6, and multiply it to the inner term, which is positive x. So negative 6 times positive x. And it's just going to give me negative 6x. And now we'll deal with the L, which stands for last. And we take this negative 6 and multiply it to the last term, which is positive 5. So negative 6 times positive 5. And that's going to give me negative 30. The next thing that we're going to do is we want to go ahead and take these two middle terms and combine them. So we have 15 plus negative 6. And notice all I did was take the coefficient of the first term and then this next term, and I added them together. And it gives me positive 9. So that's 9x. Now, the final step is to go ahead and just bring down this first term, 3x squared. And this was a positive 9x for my middle term when I combined these two. And then bring down that last term, negative 30. And that's how you multiply binomials using the FOIL method. For example 2, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the FOIL method again. So I'm going to take this first term and multiply it to the first term in the second binomial. Therefore I have 2x times 4x. And 2 times 4 gives me 8. And x times x gives me x squared. For the outer, I'm going to take this 2x and multiply it to the outer term, positive 2. So 2x times positive 2. And 2 times 2 is 4. So that becomes 4x. And then for the next term, I'm going to take that 10, this is my inner, and multiply it to the inner of the other binomial. So 10 times 4x, which gives me positive 40x. And then for the last, I'll take this 10 and multiply it to the last term. So 10 times positive 2. And 10 times 2 leaves me with positive 20. Last of all, I'll take these two middle terms and combine them. So positive 4x plus 40x leaves me with 44x. Then I'll bring down my first term. And bring down my last term. With this final binomial that we're going to multiply right here, we're going to go to use the FOIL method again. So F stands for first. So I'm going to take this first value of x and multiply it to this value of x. So we have x times x. And x times x is going to leave you with x squared. And then I'll go ahead and do the O for the outer. So I'm going to take that first term and multiply it to my outer term, which is negative 3. So x times negative 3. And that's going to leave me with negative 3x. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the inner term, which means I'll take this inner value of 3 and multiply it to this inner value, which is x. So we have 3 times x, and that leaves me with positive 3x. And then we're going to do our L for last. And our last term means we're going to take this 3 right here, and we're going to multiply it to negative 3. So the pink 3 multiplied to the black 3, negative 3. And 3 times negative 3 is going to leave me with negative 9. Now we do run into a certain situation here. If you look at these middle terms, when we combine them, we have a negative 3x and a positive 3x. And when we combine these two together, it's going to leave us with 0. So really it's leaving us with 0x. Now in math, anytime something is going to be 0 and it's going to be multiplied to something, it's just going to create another 0. And therefore we don't write it. We just leave it out. So why some of you may look at this, and if this is new to you, you may be tempted to write 0x right there. Keep in mind, because it's a 0, we just leave it off. So this can simply be written as x squared minus 9. And that would be your final answer.